One switch, one light, and suddenly the world never slept again. The second industrial revolution didn't just change factories, it changed how fast humans were expected to live. By the late 19th century, steam had started to feel insecure. For decades, steam engines had ruled the world. They powered trains, factories, ships, and the egos of men who wore top hats indoors. Steam was loud, dramatic, and always arrived in a cloud, like a politician avoiding questions. But one day, steam overheard a whisper. Electricity is coming. Steam laughed at first. Electricity sounded ridiculous. Invisible? Silent. What kind of power source didn't announce itself with smoke, sweat, and minor explosions? Still, steam noticed things changing. Factory owners stopped patting steam engines affectionately. Engineers stopped calling them reliable old friends and started calling them maintenance issues. One engine, rusted and tired, exhaled a final puff and muttered, "I gave you trains. I gave you empires. And now you're replacing me with wires." The second industrial revolution had begun, and steam was about to be politely escorted toward retirement. Electricity arrived quietly. Too quietly. No smoke, no fire, no dramatic hiss. Just a wire, a switch, and suddenly, light. The first time a factory worker saw an electric bulb turn on, he screamed. The second time, he fainted. The third time, he asked if it could replace his job. Electricity didn't need coal shoveled into its mouth every 10 minutes. It didn't cough. It didn't complain. It didn't need lunch. Factory owners were in love. "This thing works all night," one owner whispered, staring at the glowing machines as if watching forbidden magic. "And it doesn't ask for higher wages." Machines powered by electricity began to multiply like rabbits with engineering degrees. They spun faster. They cut sharper. They made sounds that suggested confidence, efficiency, and mild judgment toward humans. Electric motors replaced steam shafts. Factories no longer needed to be built next to rivers or coal mines. They could be built anywhere, especially wherever workers lived, slept, and desperately hoped to escape. Electricity didn't just power machines. It powered ambition. And ambition, as history would soon learn, has no off switch. Before the second industrial revolution, making something took skill. A shoemaker made shoes. A watchmaker made watches. A craftsman felt proud, tired, and emotionally attached to what he created. Then came the assembly line. The assembly line looked innocent at first. It promised efficiency, order, and productivity. It smiled politely and said, "You only have to do one small thing." So John was hired to tighten one bolt. Just one bolt. At first, John enjoyed it. Tightening bolts was easy, satisfying even. You turned, clicked, moved on. Turned, clicked, moved on. By the end of the first day, John had tightened 1,200 bolts. By the end of the week, John's arms moved on their own. He could tighten bolts while thinking about dinner, weather, or whether he still remembered his wife's face. By the end of the month, John dreamed of bolts. In his dreams, bolts chased him. Bolts asked him philosophical questions. Bolts whispered, "Are you tightening us, or are we tightening you?" The assembly line did not care. It moved forward endlessly, like time itself, except louder and with worse lighting. Managers loved it. "Look at this efficiency," they said. "Human beings are finally behaving like machines." Somewhere deep inside the factory, a machine paused briefly and thought, "Honestly, that feels a bit insulting." Steel was the true superstar of the second industrial revolution. Stronger than iron, cheaper to produce, perfect for railways, bridges, buildings, weapons, and anything else humans might use to impress or intimidate one another. Steel factories rose like metal forests. Cities stretched upward instead of outward. Skyscrapers appeared, scraping the sky like ambitious fingers. People looked up and said, "Is this safe?" Engineers replied, "Probably." Steel changed transportation. Railroads expanded aggressively, connecting cities, countries, and arguments about time zones. Suddenly, time mattered. Trains ran on schedules. Clocks synchronized. People were no longer late. They were 5 minutes inefficient. Factories adopted whistles to signal work hours. Cities adopted noise as a lifestyle. The modern city was born, loud, crowded, energetic, and permanently annoyed. Someone once said, "The city never sleeps." That was because it physically could not. The machines wouldn't let it. Just as electricity and steel were getting comfortable, oil showed up. Oil had been around quietly for centuries, oozing out of the ground like the earth was sweating. But during the Second Industrial Revolution, humans realized oil could do things. Very important things. Explosive things. Oil-powered engines, fueled ships, moved vehicles, and made certain businessmen laugh in ways that suggested future complications. Internal combustion engines appeared. Cars sputtered into existence, terrifying horses and pedestrians alike. The first drivers drove slowly, cautiously, and proudly, blocking roads while announcing, "This is the future." The future honked back. Oil also introduced a new concept, strategic resources. Nations looked at maps differently now. They didn't just see borders. They saw fuel. And when nations see fuel, history tends to get loud. Before the Second Industrial Revolution, news traveled at the speed of horses, ships, or shouting. Then came the telegraph. Suddenly, messages traveled faster than people could emotionally process them. War declared. Stop. Send more money. Stop. Ignore previous message. Stop. Businessmen loved it. Governments loved it. Journalists loved it. Everyone else was mildly terrified. Telephones followed. Voices traveled through wires. People spoke to invisible listeners. Entire conversations happened without eye contact, which felt deeply suspicious. Some elderly citizens refused to trust telephones. "If I can't see the person," one man said, "how do I know they're real?" This was an excellent question, centuries ahead of its time. Factory work during the Second Industrial Revolution was not gentle. Hours were long. Conditions were harsh. Machines were powerful and extremely uninterested in human fingers. Workers adapted. They learned to move quickly, carefully, and without complaint, mostly because complaining was unpaid labor. Children worked too. Small hands were useful, also cheap. Factory owners explained this logically. They're learning discipline, they said, and also not starving. Labor movements slowly formed. Unions emerged. Strikes happened. Machines observed these events silently, wondering why humans didn't simply redesign themselves for efficiency. Progress, it turned out, had a human cost, and humans were starting to notice. Urban populations exploded. People moved from farms to factories, chasing wages, opportunity, and rumors that cities were full of lights. They were correct. The lights were everywhere. So was smoke. Air turned gray. Rivers turned questionable. Streets turned crowded. Someone once looked at a polluted river and said, "Is that safe to drink?" The answer was always no, but often delivered too late. Yet cities pulsed with life. Ideas spread. Cultures mixed. Innovation thrived. The modern world was messy, but undeniably alive. By the early 20th century, the world looked very different. Production was massive. Transportation was fast. Communication was instant. Economies were global. Humans had built systems so large that no single person fully understood them anymore. Machines hummed endlessly. Cities glowed at night. Nations raced forward, powered by electricity, oil, steel, and ambition. Someone asked, "Is this progress?" History answered, "Yes." Someone else asked, "At what cost?" History paused, then said, "That depends on who's paying." John eventually retired. On his last day, he tightened one final bolt. He looked at it fondly. "You were a good one," he whispered. The assembly line moved on without him. The machines kept working. The lights stayed on. The world kept accelerating. And somewhere, deep inside a factory, a machine hummed softly and thought, "They built us to make life easier." A pause. And somehow, they made it faster instead. The Second Industrial Revolution didn't just change how things were made. It changed how time was measured, how work was defined, how progress was imagined. It was brilliant. It was chaotic. It was loud. And above all, it was the moment humanity discovered that once you teach machines to run, you'd better learn how to keep up.